The day Melissa Claire Egan took to Instagram to share her diagnosis, it wasn't a decision made lightly. As a private person, the actress had always kept much of her life behind closed doors, but this moment was different. It was a moment that required transparency, not just for her, but for others who might be facing similar struggles without realizing it. It was late January when Melissa received the news that would change her life forever. She had always taken pride in her health and fitness, and she had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. But when her blood work came back with some concerning results, her doctor urged her to see a cardiologist. What followed was a heart calcium scan that would reveal a diagnosis she wasn't prepared for. As she sat in the doctor's office, she could hardly believe what she was hearing. The doctor explained that there was plaque in her LAD artery, something that could have catastrophic consequences if left undetected for too long. Melissa's heart sank. She had always been aware of the risks of heart disease, but it never seemed real until it was her own life on the line. She would later reflect on that moment in her post to her followers, sharing the deep gratitude she felt for the early detection that had saved her. But at that moment, all she could think about was the terrifying prospect of what could happen if she hadn't caught it in time. It's mild so far, but this condition can be dangerous. It's genetic but rare for a 44-year-old woman. It could have caused the plaque to chip off and lead to a fatal heart attack or stroke any time over the next 5 to 10 years, maybe even sooner, Melissa wrote. Her words were carefully chosen, but they carried an undeniable weight. She wanted her followers to understand the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just about her. This was about every woman who might be walking around with heart disease and not even know it. As the reality of the diagnosis set in, Melissa found herself facing a flood of emotions. She had always been the picture of health, or at least she had felt that way. Now, with one scan, everything felt uncertain. It wasn't just about her physical health, it was about her future, her family, her children, her life. Despite the fear, Melissa was thankful. She couldn't ignore the deep sense of relief that washed over her that night as she lay next to her sons. After the diagnosis, she had gone home, and like every night, she tucked her boys into bed. She gazed at them for a moment, taking in their faces as they fell asleep, and she couldn't help but feel overwhelmingly grateful. I laid with my sons, putting them to bed, feeling so grateful to God and my doctors that I found this early, she shared with her followers. But I couldn't stop thinking about all the other women that might have this disease and not know it. Her concern wasn't just for herself, it was for all the women who weren't being tested for coronary heart disease. She knew that for many women, heart disease often went undiagnosed, undertested, and underrecognized. She felt compelled to share her experience in hopes of raising awareness and encouraging others to be proactive with their heart health. I couldn't stop thinking about all the women out there who don't even know they have this condition. It's so underrecognized, and I wanted to make sure people were talking about it, Melissa explained. She knew that if she could get even one person to take action and get tested, it would be worth it. In the days following her post, the response from her fans and co-stars was overwhelming. Comments poured in from all sides offering support, love, and appreciation for her bravery. Her Y&R co-stars who had worked alongside her for years were among the first to chime in with messages of encouragement. They knew Melissa as a dedicated actress, a loving mother, and a kind soul, but this new side of her, this vulnerability, touched them deeply. As Melissa continued to share her journey with her followers, she provided practical advice on how others could protect themselves. She urged her audience to talk to their doctors about heart disease and ask for specific tests like the heart calcium scan. She recommended getting blood tests to check for lipoprotein and ApoB levels, as these could help predict heart disease risks. For her, it was all about making sure women didn't wait until it was too late. It wasn't easy for Melissa to speak so openly about something so personal. She was used to keeping her struggles to herself, but she knew that her platform could make a difference. Sharing her story was her way of making sure no one else had to go through what she did, no one else had to wait until it was too late to get the help they needed. As she reflected on her journey so far, Melissa couldn't help but feel a sense of purpose. She had been given a second chance, and she wasn't going to waste it. The support from her family, friends, and fans only reinforced her resolve to take charge of her health and to help others do the same. But as she faced this new challenge, she also found herself dealing with her career in Genoa City. On The Young and the Restless, Chelsea Lawson was about to face new curveballs, and as always, that meant Melissa's character would have to rise to the occasion. But now, with her health at the forefront, Melissa found herself contemplating the delicate balance between personal challenges and the demands of her career. As Chelsea, she had already weathered so many storms, from heartbreak and betrayal to navigating her complicated relationship with Adam Newman, but nothing could prepare her for the kind of challenge she was about to face in her personal life. And yet, as Melissa thought about her role, she knew that it wasn't just about acting anymore. It was about real life, facing her fears, embracing her vulnerability, and using her platform for something greater than herself. Back in Genoa City, Chelsea Lawson's world was shifting, just as Melissa's was in real life. As she navigated the ups and downs of her relationship with Adam, she couldn't help but feel a sense of uncertainty about the future. They had come so far, but how long could their fragile relationship hold up against the storms that always seemed to roll in? As much as Chelsea wanted things to work with Adam, she couldn't ignore the feeling that something wasn't quite right. Every time they seemed to find a place of stability, something would come along to shake the foundation. Adam's past always seemed to creep in, threatening to tear them apart. But in the midst of all the chaos, Chelsea had her sons, and that gave her a sense of purpose. She couldn't let the fear of losing Adam or the uncertainty of their future keep her from being the best mother she could be. In a quiet moment after the chaos of her day, Chelsea sat in the living room staring out the window. She thought about her own mother, how their relationship had been strained at times. And yet, Chelsea had always known that her mother's love for her was unwavering. She wanted to give that same love to her boys. But it wasn't easy. Chelsea's world was always under some level of scrutiny by the media, by Adam's family, and sometimes even by herself. Every decision she made seemed to be viewed under a microscope. And yet, in those quiet moments with her sons, she realized that none of that mattered. What mattered was the love they shared and the future they could build together. Back at the Newman ranch, Adam's thoughts were also occupied with his family, his present and his future. He had come a long way since his return to Genoa City, but he still carried the weight of his past on his shoulders. It wasn't just the business drama, it was the emotional baggage, the secrets that never seemed to stay buried. But as he sat with Chelsea later that evening, his mind kept wandering back to the revelation of his coronary heart disease diagnosis. He had kept it to himself for the most part, not wanting to worry Chelsea or anyone else. But as he saw the concern in her eyes, he realized he couldn't keep it from her forever. "I've been dealing with something," Adam finally admitted, his voice quiet. "I'm not sure how to bring it up, but you deserve to know." Chelsea turned to him, her expression softening. "What's going on, Adam?" Adam hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I was diagnosed with coronary heart disease. It's mild, but it could have been worse." Chelsea's eyes widened and she reached for his hand. "Oh my God, Adam, why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to burden you," he said quietly, "but now I realize I can't keep it from you." Chelsea squeezed his hand, her heart heavy with emotion. "You're my family, Adam. I'm here for you. We'll get through this together." In that moment, Adam felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He had feared that Chelsea would be overwhelmed by the news, but instead she offered him comfort and support. It was the first time in a long time that he felt truly supported, not just by his doctors, but by someone who truly cared about him. As the days passed, Adam and Chelsea grew closer, their bond strengthened by the shared vulnerability. Adam still had his fears about his health, but he knew that Chelsea would be by his side every step of the way. And for the first time in a long time, he allowed himself to believe that they could have a future, one filled with love, understanding, and hope. Melissa Claire Egan's decision to open up about her health was more than just an act of courage. It was a reminder that health, both physical and mental, should always be a priority. Her vulnerability not only sparked a conversation about heart disease, but it also reminded all of us that we are never alone in our struggles. Just as Chelsea stood by Adam, so too could her fans support her during her journey. It was a powerful message that resonated with everyone who followed her, and it would stay with them long after the post was shared. In Genoa City, life moved forward. For Adam, Chelsea, and the rest of the Newman family, it would always be a balancing act between business, family, and health. but with the right people by their side, they knew they could face anything that came their way.